Okay, so now let us talk about some aspects of our sexual self, which has to do a lot with our human sexuality, with our sexual orientation, and it has also got to do with our relationships with each other, regardless of the gender or sex of that particular person, because we could be attracted to anyone, regardless of their genders. So, and also, we will be talking about not just an ordinary attraction to other person, but also we will tackle about is the attraction will lead to love, or the attraction is mainly because of lust. Okay, so we have to differentiate also what's the difference between love, real love, or just a plain lust, or just a plain attraction to that particular person that we were able to have our attention, or we are having a relationship with. Okay, so let's start with Kansas and Sedgwick's research, and this research has something to do with the sexuality. Now, according to sexuality researcher Alfred Kinsey, was among the first to conceptualize sexuality actually, and he said sexuality is a continuum rather than a strict dichotomy of being gay or straight. So, uh, to classify this continuum of heterosexuality and homosexuality, Kinsey created a 6-point rating scale that ranges from exclusively heterosexual to exclusively homosexual. And the research done over several decades supports this idea that sexual orientation ranges along a continuum from exclusive attraction to the opposite sex or gender, and then to an exclusive attraction to the same sex or gender. So this is a very interesting research because it actually reflects the reality, and it shows facts, the real things that are happening this day. So the Kinsey scale indicates that sexuality can be measured by more than just heterosexual and homosexuality. And later, a scholarship by Eve Kosofsky Sedgwick expanded on Kens's notions, and she coined the term homosocial to oppose the homosexual, describing non sexual same sex relations. Sedgwick recognized that in American culture, males are subject to a clear divide between the two sides of the continuum, whereas the females enjoy more fluidity, and this can be illustrated by the way women can express homosocial feelings like non-sexual regard for people of the same sex or even to the opposite sex through hugging, hand holding, and physical closeness. And in contrast, the American male behavior is subject to a very strong social sanction if it veers homosocial territory because of what we call as societal homophobia. Now, in connection to that research, let us now talk about the sexual response cycle. Now, what is the sexual response cycle? It actually refers to the sequence, no, of physical and emotional changes that occurs as a person becomes sexually aroused and participates in sexually stimulating activities, including including the actual sexual intercourse or the masturbation process. Now, knowing how your body responds during each phase of the cycle can enhance your relationship and can help you pinpoint the very cause of any sexual problems, if ever you have one. Okay, now guys, please take note that this lesson is intended to educate us, not to literally encourage us to do the sexual act or the sexual intercourse, because culturally, okay, we are not allowed to do so unless we are legally married. There, I emphasize it and I clearly stated that one, that this is plainly for educational purposes, and this is actually to educate us so that we won't be so ignorant and so we won't be so curious, and that is also so that we will be able to have a good idea about this particular thing we call as sex or sexual intercourse or sexual relationship. Okay, now going back, what are the phases of the sexual response cycle? According to Masters and Johnson's, there are four phases of sexual response cycle. So, what are these four phase of sexual response cycle? Again, this is according to Masters and Johnson's. The sexual response cycles has four phases, and these are the excitement, orgasm, and excitement, plateau, orgasm, and resolution. And one by one, let's tackle these phases. Okay. Now, both men and women actually experience these phases, although the timing usually is different. Okay. For example, uh, it is unlikely that both partners will reach orgasm at the same time, but of course, it is good to have the orgasm together. But it is just sometimes it happens, but sometimes it's not. And so this is scientifically proven. Has research has been conducted with this particular fact. No, so for example, it is unlikely that both partners will reach the said orgasm at the same time. And in addition, the intensity of the response and the time spent in each phase actually varies from person to person. So, understanding these differences may help you as a partner or your partner to better understand one another's bodies and responses, and at the same time, it will enhance your sexual experience. Okay, now let's talk about the first phase. Phase one, excitement. What is this about? So, general characteristics of the excitement phase, which can last from a few minutes to several hours, include the following: muscle tension increase, heart rate quickens, and breathing is accelerated. And your skin may become flushed. There's blotches of redness appear on the chest or on your back. And then your nipples become harder or erect. And then blood flow to the genitals increases, resulting in swelling of the women's clitoris and the labia minora or the inner lips, and also the erection of the man's penis. Now, the vaginal lubrication also begins at this particular phase, and then the women's breasts becomes fuller, and then the vaginal walls begin to swell at the same time. While on the male, the man's testicles also swell, and their scrotum will tighten, and it will begin secreting a lubricating liquid. So that is what is happening during this particular phase one, and that is what we call as excitement. Now let's talk about phase two, and that is plateau. What is actually happening here is that general characteristics of the plateau phase, which extends to the brink of orgasm, include the following. Okay, so what are these? Uh, The changes began in phase one and are intensified, of course, during this phase. And in this phase, the vagina continues to swell from the increased blood flow, and the vaginal walls turns into a dark purple, and then the women's clitoris becomes highly sensitive and may even be painful to touch and retracts under the clitoral hood to avoid direct stimulation from the penis. And the testicles are good. The men's testicles also tighten during this phase, and your breathing and your heart rate and the blood pressure continue to increase. And there is also the muscle spasms. Okay, it may begin in the feet, then it will raise to your face, and it will include your hands at the same time. And also there is muscle tensions, and it keeps on increasing and increasing during this phase. And this is the second phase, and we call it the plateau. Now let's move to the third phase, and that is what they call as the orgasm. Now, what is the orgasm about? According to the scientists, the orgasm is the climax of the sexual response cycle, and it is the shortest of the phase and generally lasts only a few seconds. So, general characteristics of this phase includes the following: the involuntary muscle contractions begun, and the blood pressure and your heart rate and your breathing are at their highest rates with a rapid intake of oxygen, and your muscles and the feet spasms, and there is a sudden um, forceful release of your sexual tension. And in women, the muscles of the vagina contract, and then the uterus also undergoes a rhythmic contractions. Whereas on men, there is a rhythmic contractions of the muscles at the base of the penis. That results in the ejaculation of the semen, and then a rash or what we call as a sex flash may appear over the entire body once you were able to reach the orgasm. So the in a common term, the first and the second phase, the excitement and the plateau, is what we call as the foreplay, and then the third phase is of course the orgasm, and that is basically the peak. Now let's talk about the fourth phase, which is the resolution. So according to the scientists and the researchers, the fourth phase, which is the resolution, and what happened during this phase is that during resolution, the body slowly returns to its normal level functioning, and swelled and erect body parts return to their previous size and color. So, from being a hot dog, then it becomes a marshmallow. No, I'm just kidding. Now, this phase is marked by a general sense of well being, enhanced intimacy, and often fatigue. Now, some women are capable of a rapid return to the orgasm phase with further sexual stimulation and may experience multiple orgasms, whereas men need recovery time after orgasm. So, it is called as a refractory period. Now, during which they cannot reach orgasm again, and the duration of the refractory period among men among men usually lengthens with an advancing stage. So ladies, women, let us be very gentle with our men. Okay, we can have our multiple orgasm, but for them, they need this so-called refractory period. Okay, they need time to resuscitate and to have energy for them to have the another orgasm again. So that is the four phase of sexual response cycle according to Masters and Johnson's. Now let us move forward to another very interesting topic, and that is the stages of falling in love. Of course, from the very topic of having the said sexual responses. Now let's talk about something that is deep, no? And this is about the love. So according to Professor Helen Fisher, there are three stages in falling in love. And in each stage, there is a different set of brain chemicals which runs the show. So these stages are lust, attraction, love, and then we will discuss each one by one. Um, this is actually somewhat like talking about hormones in our body, which is actually responsible for producing this kind of feelings within us. Okay, now the first one is lust. When we say lust, when you are in the stage of lust, you feel physically attracted and drawn to the object of your affection. So you are so drawn to that person, and so okay, you are so drawn to the person, you are so attracted to that person, so you lusted for that person. Okay, you want to seduce that particular person because why is it? Okay. There may be an element of mystery or an intensity that makes things exciting for you. And perhaps, you might be imagining also something that is that something for you that is arousing. Okay. Like imagining to have a one night stand with your crush, okay, or with that person whom you so adore physically. Okay, so that is basically what lust is about. So lust is driven primarily by the hormones testosterone in men, whereas for women, it is driven by a hormone that is called as estrogen. Now, lust occurs across species and may be part of the basic drive to find a partner to spread our genes with, but lust is different from love. Okay, let us be very clear with that one. Injecting men with testosterone makes them desire a potential lover more, but not necessarily fall in love in any lasting way. Okay, so ladies, please be careful. Do not just let anyone that you lusted inject their testosterone in you, because mind you, lust is different from love. Okay, you might think that if I will have sex with this man, then I will have this man forever because he's going to marry me. No, that is so not possible. However, it could be possible if that particular person fails more than lust, and that is love. Okay, so let us now move forward to the second stage of love, and that is called as attraction, according to Helen Fisher, okay, not according to me. Now, in the second stage called attraction, you begin to obsess about your lover, and then you crave you crave his or her presence. Now, your heart races and you don't feel like sleeping or eating, and you may even get sweaty palms. You feel a surge of extra energy and excitement. As you fantasize about the things that you'll do together. Now, these feelings are created by the three chemicals, and that is what we call as the norepinephrine. Okay, again, let me say it correctly. Norepinephrine, okay? Norepinephrine and dopamine and serotonin. So these three chemicals are responsible for giving us those kind of feelings such as excitement, energy rush, and what have you. Okay, so when we say dopamine, it is associated with the motivation or reward and the goal directed behavior. Hence, the drive to pursue your loved one or create them in fantasy if you can be with them. Oh, that's so sad. Dopamine also creates a sense of novelty. Your loved one seems exciting and special and unique to you. and you want to tell the world about his special qualities. Okay, so you are so overwhelmed because of dopamine. Now let's talk about the norepinephrine. Okay, it's so hard to pronounce this one. Okay, so the norepinephrine is responsible for the extra surge of energy, such as your racing heart, okay, that you feel, as well as the loss in some cases, but both your appetite and your desire for sleep also is included, and it puts your body into a more alert state in which you are ready for action. So this is good. It's like giving you so much energy to do whatever your partner wants you to do. But guys, again, please do it with your legal partners, okay? Not just your boyfriend and girlfriend, because your boyfriend might just leave you, or your girlfriend might just, exchange you with someone who is more hotter and more handsome rather. Okay, so let's talk about the serotonin. Scientists think that serotonin probably decreases at this stage, and more studies also are needed to be done in order to prove this one. Now, there is low levels of serotonin found in obsessive compulsive disorder, and are thought to cause those who recently in love and those with OCD both had less serotonin transporter protein in their blood than the regular one. Okay, so this is actually based on a scientific study. Now let's talk about the third stage, and that is attachment. Okay, so what do we mean by attachment? Attachment involves wanting to make more a lasting, not lust, okay? Lasting commitment to your loved one. So from lust, now we go to a lasting commitment to your loved one. And this is the point at which you may move in together, you get married, and have children together. And about 4 years in relationship, dopamine decreases and the attraction goes down. And if things are going well, it gets replaced by the hormones oxytocin and the other hormone vasopressin, which creates the desire to bond, and it also the desire to affiliate with and to nurture your partner. Now, you want to cuddle and be close and share your deepest secrets with him or her, and you plan your dream together. So you are lucky if you will be replaced with these hormones. The oxytocin is hormone released during orgasm, as well as during childbirth and breastfeeding. This may be the reason why sex is thought, and it brings couple closer together, and it becomes the glue that binds the relationship actually. Now, there is a dark side to the oxytocin as well. It seems to play a role in needy and being a clinging behaviors and also jealousy. Okay, so that's the negative aspect of it. The other hormone is the vasopressin. Vasopressin. Scientists learned about the role of vasopressin in the attachment by studying the prairie vole, uh, a small creature that forms a monogamous bonds like humans do. Now, when male prairie voles were given a drug that suppresses biosephrine, they began neglecting their partners and not fighting off their male voles who are actually flirting or running around the the partners that they have. Okay, so now question, guys, what can we do, okay, with regards to this particular topic? Understanding the signs of lost attraction. Sorry. I mispronounce it. Understanding the signs of lust and attraction and the attachment can help you develop more realistic expectations of your relationships, and so let us be guided accordingly. Okay, guys, let us take note of the following. We must not mistake lust for love, okay? We have to give a new relationship a time before we start dreaming of a future together. Okay, let us be realistic. There should be a test and trial period. For all you know, it was just a short attraction, and then when the attraction is gone, then everything is gone. Okay, so let us not mistake lust from love. And then another is that we have to keep the dopamine flowing in a long term relationship. We can do this actually by having date nights and taking lessons together or going on trips, which, you can do novel and exciting things together, or perhaps you go on hiking together. You just do things that you will be able to spend time. And of course, these things that you will be doing together must meet your both of your interests, not just to satisfy and to please the other. It has to be both of your wants, like you really both of you really want to do this kind of activity. Okay, so aside from keeping the dopamine flowing, we also have to keep the oxytocin flowing with sex and intimacy. So that is why earlier in our discussion, if you could recall, I really agreed with the Protestantism that sexuality must be given an emphasis, and that everyone must be allowed to get married, whether they are priests, because sexuality is within us. And actually, in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, sex is there. This is our biological needs, and this is even emphasized by Sigmund Freud's theory, when he was talking about the id ego and the alter ego, I mean super ego, and also the libido. We have our desires, we have our needs and our urges, and it has to be satisfied. Okay, so going back, aside from spending a lot of time together, also it is important to maintain some independence. Okay, so if you're a jealous type of a partner or a person and you are the controlling type, you start developing your own activities and friendships that can make you feel important and cared about. Okay, so do not limit yourself in that bubble with your partner. Have some other circle of friends, but of course, you have to be careful with the friends that you will be choosing. Make sure they are not toxic so that they will not ruin your relationship as well. Okay, so those are the things that we need to remember in order to keep our relationships happy, healthy, and last until the day we die, because we promise till that do we part, right? Okay, so that is the three stages of falling in love according to Helen Fisher. So, after talking about the stages of love according to Helen Fisher, let's now talk about the different styles of love. So, there are styles of love according to John Lee. This is one of the most interesting theories of love, and this was proposed by Lee during 1973 to 1976, who forged a classification of several different approaches to love. After an extensive interview and procedure and complex data redaction techniques, Lee proposed a typology of love styles that form a closed circle. So Lee identified three primary types of love styles, and these are the eros, which is known as the romantic, the passionate love, and then we have ludus, the game playing love, and storage, which refers to as the friendship love. And another three main category or secondary styles is what Ali call as mania or the possessive or the dependent love. And then there is also the pragma, or so we call as the logical love or the shopping list love. And then lastly is the agape or the agape, the all giving, selfless love. Now, these love styles are six models, classifications of how people actually love, which are analogous to the color wheel and very similar to the Greek types of love. And in fact, Lee titled his first book in 1973 outlining these ideas, The Colors of Love. So let us tackle individually each sorry, let's tackle individually each type. And while we are at it, let us try to examine ourselves and let's check how do we do with our love relationship, if not love relationships. Okay, so the first type is the eros, or as what we know, or commonly known as the romantic passionate love. So the this tile is actually named after the Greek god of love, which is just who rather is the son of Aphrodite, and is characterized by relentless romance and passion, and often falls in love at the first sight. Wow, it's really is romantic, right? Now, for someone who exhibits eros, hence erotic, there is a primary emphasis on the physical aspects of compatibility. And additionally, these individuals seek out their ideal type. So, this is someone that to them is the perfect example or image of what beautiful and attraction is. Now, moreover, these individuals actually tend to be very committed as they value intense emotion and desire, exclusivity, especially if they are with a particular someone that reflects their ideal types or someone that they were very attracted to. And mind you guys, erotic lovers also tend to have a higher or more than the average self-esteem, since Eros gives a fully, it also is, how did- okay. It gives fully, intensely, and it takes risks in love. And so it requires a substantial ego strength, according to Hendrick and Hendrick, 1986. Okay, so some popular examples of eros, of course, the ever famous Romeo and Juliet from Shakespeare, and then we have also the um, Jack Dawson in Titanic, okay? The Jack and the Rose thing. And we have the Anakin Skywalker from the Star Wars. So these are the very most common examples that I could think of. And also the particular love, the Eros style of love is what is usually or commonly depicted in our movies, especially in our romantic movies. Okay. Now, another type is the ludus, which is also known as the player. So we have to be very careful and be watchful for this kind of individuals because, okay, the ludus is the player, and this is actually termed by the Roman poet Ovid. Love for a ludus actually resembles a game, a sport, or a conquest. Okay, so it is just like when the person is attracted to you, and then once that person will be able to get your attention, then you will be treated as a conquest. Yeah, so they are very playful, flirtatious, and of course, because they're flirtatious, they're fun, they're independent, nonconformist, and permissive to the points of promiscuity. Yeah. Okay, so they go from person to person and they often are juggling multiple partners and even romantic or sexual interests at once. And they they recover quickly from a breakups or from any rejections as they value quantity over quality. So they do not follow the traditional rules of the romance and love and dating, and they often actually break them. So as I've mentioned a while ago, these are the kind that we have to be careful of. If not, we have to be afraid of, because according to Lee, the degree of involvement in this particular love style is carefully controlled, and the jealousy is eschewed, and then relationships are often multiple and relatively short-lived, because one is again looking for, or is more on the quantity rather than on the quality. So, moreover, they are incredibly non-concomital, so much that they actively resist it, and they often do not place a high value on the intimacy aspect, nor do they expect it because they don't value it. So, this is the very sorry. This is the very the Ludus type is the very different than the quote and unquote game that people talk about with relationships. This is very different than someone exhibiting ludic love, and in fact, someone who does either rigidly adheres to game playing, or often individuals also have higher than the average self-esteem, and in fact individuals with a very positive self-esteem were more ludic than those individuals who were uh, not so confident. Okay, so these individuals, because they have a very high and positive self-esteem, they are so confident, and they have a very good ego strength at the same time, and so they play seriously at the love game rather. That is according to Hendrick 1986. And lastly, they are more likely of the most I mean of the six love styles, they are most likely the ones who would commit infidelity, obviously, because they're after again for the quantity rather on the quality of the relationship. So who is the most example for this type of love? The only one that I could think of is the legendary suit up in How I Met Your Mother. Yeah, I'm that old. But maybe if you would think of another example, well, in real life it could be your ex. For probably the reason why you break up with him or her is because she or he is also after for the quantity rather than the quality of the relationships that you're having, right? Okay, now let's move forward to another type, and that is the storage. No, storage is actually what we also call as the best friend lover, and these individuals exhibit high amounts of commitment, devotion, intimacy, and they highly value compatibility, respect, understanding, and above all also harmony in the relationship. So this is actually taken from Lee 1977 to okay. So according to Lee, storage is a style based on a slowly developing affection and companionship, and a gradual disclosure of self, an avoidance of self-conscious passion, and an expectation of a long-term commitment. For these individuals, friendship comes first, and then figuratively and literally, they just literally value stability and long-term commitment. Now, for storging individuals, they place a lot of emphasis on the companionship aspect of a relationship, and often They will want the friendship to continue even if the romantic relationship does not appear or is no longer existing. And they are also the least likely among the six love styles to commit infidelity because they value so much on the commitment aspect. So, a very famous example for this storage love includes Harry and Sally. Again, I'm that old. And I think locally, and an example that you could relate, perhaps the Cat Neil. That's all I could think of. The Catherine and Daniel love team that we have in our country. So there, that is the storage love style. Now let's move forward to the fourth one, and that is the mania, or what we call as the infatuation. So this is very common for your stage guys, common among you as adolescents. So this is a combination of Eros and Ludus actually, and according to Lee, 1987, mania is an obsessive, jealous, emotionally intense love style characterized by preoccupation with the beloved and a need for repetitive reassurance of being loved. And so, mania carries the most negative connotations as these individuals are very possessive, very dependent, and intense, and they often appear insecure. So, for me, this is literally a very toxic kind of love. So, uh, according to Henrik and Henrik 1986, they said that manic lovers had some lowest self-esteem among their sample, and in fact one reason manic lovers are manic is because of uncertainty of the self in the relationship. So this love style is particularly, as I mentioned a while ago, among teenagers and adolescents. And one of the most well-known example of a manic lover is Alex Forrest in Fatal Attraction. So I don't know. I could not think of anything else. Okay, so I think in real life, among you yourselves, you could think of someone who is also like this, or it could be you yourself. Something is doing or is having this kind of love style. Well, I don't know. It's only you who could tell. Now, let us talk about another type, and that is what we call as pragma, or the practical lover. The pragma, or the practical lover, is actually a combination of the ludus and the storage. So these individuals are pragmatic, practical, rational, realistic, and most importantly, they have a very defined list of qualities that they are looking for in a partner that emphasizes a long-term commitment and high levels of compatibility as well as settling down. So they make it a goal to find someone who exhibits the most from the list that they have, and if not all of the desired qualities on their list. Now, furthermore, according to Lee, pragmatic lovers take into account conscious consideration of the vital statistics about a suitable beloved or a suitable lover. So here comes the education, the vocation, the religion, the age, and the numerous other demographic characteristics of the potential beloved are taken into account in the search for a compatible match. So, a very popular example for this one that I could think of is the Arab culture. Because, mind you guys, they are very strict when it comes to the statistics, the vital statistics. And then, uh, in a movie, I could think of Charlotte in Pride and Prejudice. Again, I'm that old. Okay, Charlotte highly exemplified pragma in that movie, and I'm not so sure of how many do we have this kind of love styles, but probably in the Philippines there are a lot also, because I think Filipinos are becoming more. as they become more educated, they also become more matured and selective at the same time, because some of my friends are still single, and I think it's because they are so particular with the vital statistics. Yeah. Okay, but it's up to them. It's our individual choices anyway. So it's up to you also if you will have your own set of list for the qualities that you would be looking for your beloved. So now let us talk about the last but not the least, and that is the agape or agape. It depends on you and how you would pronounce it. It could be agape or it could be agape. The selfless lover. Okay. Now the combination of eros and storge. Agape is altruistic love given because the lover sees it as his or her duty to love without expectation or reciprocity. Wow. It's like an unconditional love at all. So, sana all. It is gentle, caring, and guided by reason more than emotion, according to Lee, 1997. Again, agaphic individuals sacrifice often for the other person's happiness, sometimes at the influence of a spiritual power and at the expense of their own needs and desires. They are also, they also give so much of their love. In fact, they give their love unconditionally. And agape is one of the rarest love styles, actually, but also one of the most successful, as we could see in the most practical sense, also. Because if you would love unconditionally, only a crazy and a fool person would let go of you, right? Okay, so that is why I will never ever let go of my husband. Definitely till death do we part. Okay, now the best well-known agapic individuals that I could think of, aside from myself and my husband, of course, is Forrest in Forrest Gump. Very old movie again. Then you can tell how old I am. Then we have Penelope in the Odyssey, and then the two lovers, the gift of the Magi, and then the of course we could think of our Lord God, because of his love for us he sent his only begotten son, and that is Jesus. And Jesus also mirrored the unconditional love that Lord God the Father has given us, because Jesus sacrificed himself in the cross in order for us to be saved from our sins, and that is how Jesus loves us. So that is a very great manifestation of selfless and conditional love. Okay, so that is agape. Now guys, please take note that we all have to be wary in jumping to conclusions about an individual or a group of people, because according to Lee 1997, a lover may engage at a different times or in some cases concurrently in relationships characteristics of quite different love styles. Because of course, we people, okay, having submerged or having entered into a particular relationships, we grow, we change, and then as we grow and as we change, also our culture, which dictates our actions, and that is why we will definitely be having a lot of changes in our love styles, because the more we mature, the more changes we will have, and then most definitely, then we will be how would I say this one? We would be needing to change the love styles that we have, especially when there is a need for such change. Okay, so I hope you get what I mean here. But most definitely, when you're old enough and when you are in a serious commitment, then I know that you will remember me telling you this, that let us all not be wary to jump into conclusions about individuals, and most especially into committing ourselves to a love that we so called as love, because we could never tell unless tell that to we part definitely has happened for each one of us. Okay, so again, those are the different styles of love according to John Lee.